Hello, everybody in chat. How we doing tonight? On this fantastic Friday night. School week's over. Done with that BS. Now we're just able to lock in and chill. How is everybody doing? We got a busy stream, which I don't know how that's going to go because it's late. PokeRogue for the day, first off, obviously. That's just a daily occurrence, like it or not. And then we have I posted this on Twitter, but I'm gonna flash it on screen. I'm gonna what? Pause. Chat, nobody clip that. I'm gonna put it on screen here real quick. Hello? 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 Please broadcast the page. Hello? 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 That's the PokeRogue. This video, we're going to watch the Tolarian Community College's newest video. Because I'm a Magic the Gathering kind of guy, and I haven't talked about it at all, and I don't even remember when it was. But recently, we had a very monumentous occasion in the Magic community where a bunch of stuff got banned in Commander, and by a bunch of stuff, I mean like 4 things. And a lot of people are pissed about it. A lot of people are fine with it, but a lot of people are pissed about it. So I'm going to go over the professor's video just because he's a very knowledgeable person. I would say the knowledgeable person in the community. That's just my take. But so we're going to see what his views on the bans are. I'll explain my views as well, which they're not going to be as insightful as the professor's just because I'm some idiot who has been alive for just over half of Magic's lifespan and has only been playing for like a year. So take my views with a grain of salt, but we're going to go over that just because it's something to do. It's fun and I want to. Then we got Fall Guys with a couple of friends. Rounded up a couple of the boys for some Fall Guys gaming. So we'll do that. And then depending on how late it is after we wrap up Fall Guys, we can finish our Mono Rock PokeRogue run. You're back? What's up, What for Life? Good to see you, man. Indeed, I am back. But yeah, depending on how late it is, we can finish the PokeRogue run from last night. But that's going to be like that would not be for a couple of hours probably. So I don't know if we'll get to that. If we don't get to that tonight, we'll probably get to it in tomorrow's stream. But yeah, that's the plan for right now. So let's do the PokeRogue for the day. Let me put my face cam back where it normally is. Oh my God, can I click on my face cam, please? There we go. Let me put my face cam and y'all back where y'all normally are. PokeRogue kind of likes to screw things up because that side of the screen is sketch for PokeRogue. All right. I came late. What's the plan for today? We got a video that we're going to watch that has to do with Magic the Gathering. We're going to just react to it on stream. We're going to play Fall Guys with a couple of my friends that I've rounded up. And then after that, depending on how late it may or may not be, we're going to finish the PokeRogue run from last night. And obviously we have PokeRogue right now. Kicking it off, PokeRogue for the day. Poison Ghost. If I'm not mistaken, this is only... Oh, wait, no. I was going to say, if I'm not mistaken, this is only the Gengar line, in which case you go either Mega Gengar or Gigantamax Gengar. But Pekarunt just got added. Oh, 20.7. I think it would have been better to go with one of the other Gengars. Anyway, Water Poison. This is Skrelp. Can I... Skrelp, if I could spell. Dragalge is... either Water Dragon or Poison Dragon. I think it's Poison Dragon. I don't remember which one, though. But yeah, that's always Skrelp, I feel like. Maybe not. What else could that be? The Galarian Slow Twins are Psychic Poison, not Water Poison, so it couldn't be them. I actually don't know what else. Toxapex, like Tentacruel lines. I think Skrelp is still the best play. Poison Bug. Dustox, Beedrill Mega would be really good. What else could this be? Those are like the only three that I can come up with off the top of my head. We'll go Beedrill Mega, just because Mega Evolutions are pretty good. Oh, Weedle, obviously. Weedle probably clears Beedrill Mega. That was a fumble. Anyway. Flying Ghost, Drifblim line. That's all I can think of. There's got to be more than that, though. Drifblim line. What else? I just did a mono Ghost run. I should know this. I'm just going to go Drifloon, and then I'll feel like an idiot when it's something like super obscure that I'm just not going to remember at all. Yeah, 35. So it's Drifblim, Drifloon, and something else, if I had to guess. One other thing. Water Flying, Swanna, Ducklet are usually pretty good answers for this. I'm going to assume Gyarados is going to be towards the top of the list, like the more popular ones. I'm gonna go Ducklet. There are better answers than Ducklet, but Ducklet's usually one of the better ones. Bug Flying, we always go Mothim. Literally no one remembers that Pokemon. Literally 0 people remember Mothim. This is either Annihilate or... For fighting Ghosts, this is either Annihilate or Marshadow. In which case Marshadow was the less popular option, so kind of a misplay on my part, but whatever. Fighting Water, we could go whatever the Gen 9 starter is. Its name eludes me. Quaquaval, I think it is. We should be able to go Grapploct or Clobbopus, but those are pure fighting types for some reason, even though they're literally both octopi, but whatever. Poliwrath. What up, Lemon? Good to see you. I think Quaquaval is just the play. And then Bug Fighting. Oh yeah, appreciate the off-stream Prime sub, Lemon. You're the GOAT for that, for real. Fighting Bug. Yo, it's bad, but I can't think of any. Give me like 2 seconds, though, one will pop into my brain. Finger Slipped? Oh yeah, for sure. Bug Fight. Dude, this is like the Heracross. Mega Pinsir is Bug Flying, I think. Oh, that would have been better for Bug Flying, Mega Pinsir. Heracross, Mega Heracross. We'll go Mega Heracross, just because the Megas like never get picked. Okay. Not terrible. Let's see if we pulled any of the least commons. We did not. Or a Choreo, that's the one besides the Drifblim line. Okay, that makes sense. So yeah, Gengar line and Pachyrant. Pachyrant was actually tied with Gengar. That's wild. I did not expect that. Gengar Mega is the least common of those. Marini, better answer than Skrelp. Marini and Tentacool actually both better answers than Skrelp. That's wild. Kakuna over Beedrill. I thought it was going to be Weedle over Beedrill. Oh, okay. So, yeah, go for Kakuna next time. Or Choreo makes sense. We pulled off Ducklet, Lediba, and Ledian. Yeah, okay, nobody remembers those. And then Mega Pinsir, that also makes sense. We got both of these. Just Marshadow ended up being the least popular of the two. Usually it's Annihilate, though, so that one's kind of like a coin flip. Keldeo for Water Fighting. I've gone Urshifu before, just forgot about that. I've gone Tauros Aqua Breed, just forgot about that. We said Poliwrath, so Quaquaval was better than Poliwrath, which was like the only one that other one that I remembered. And then Slitherwing for Bug Fighting, which the other two options are the Ultra Beasts, and then obviously Heracross. Okay, not too bad, not too bad. How many hours on Pokedoku? Buddy, it's an unhealthy amount, I'll just say that. I've been thinking about making monthly compilations of the Pokedokus to post on YouTube. I feel like that would be cool. Afflictions, good to see you, man. How you doing? Hell yeah. Love seeing you in chat. Yo, W chatters today. All right, so let's get the first part of the stream out of the way. Okay, if y'all weren't here for the beginning of the stream, first part of stream, this is going to be like really boring for people who aren't total nerds in the chat, which I'm assuming is like everybody here right now. Appreciate the sub, Afflictions. Good stuff, man. Appreciate the sub. Love seeing that. W Afflictions in chat. Thank you so much, man. Appreciate you. This is going to be a really boring segment for everybody in stream who's not like a huge nerd. So if y'all aren't huge nerds, actually I said nobody in here is a huge nerd. I know Afflictions is like kind of a card nerd. Lemon is a huge nerd, and What for Life just said in chat that they're a nerd. So this is probably a good video for everybody in here. Essentially, Magic the Gathering had like a very big ban. God damn it. I'm sorry to call you out, but like am I wrong? Magic the Gathering had a very big ban. I don't remember when precisely it was. I want to say it was Sunday. Actually, I can just look at my tweet history because I tweeted about it the day that the bans dropped. But Magic the Gathering had quite the large ban the other day, and whereas a lot of the bans for the particular format that these cards got banned in, a lot of the bans for that format seem to be not contested like at all. Like there's a couple of controversial cards, but for the most part everybody's like, yeah, okay, that's fair, who cares. But this ban was like incredibly controversial in the community. Like this, it was bad. when this ban dropped, the people who announced the ban were getting death threats. People were that upset about it, which obviously don't do that. If you send death threats to people over a funny card game about wizards dueling, you're the biggest loser on the beach. There's just no getting around that. But yeah, I'm curious to see. This is the Tolarian Community College YouTube channel. Everybody go subscribe to this dude. I'm gonna like this video. I'm essentially just stealing this. We're gonna watch it on stream. But this is a very informative source in Magic. I would say this guy is probably the most well-spoken and most well-informed source in terms of Magic the Gathering. And he dropped a video on his views on the bans today. So I'm gonna watch this video, see what this guy has to say. I'm gonna explain to y'all what I have to say. We'll see if our opinions are the same or different, yada yada. But yeah, everybody go follow Tolarian Community College on YouTube, because again, I am pretty much just stealing his video for this segment, but I just thought it would be interesting to react to on stream. So let's get into it.
Earlier this week, the Commander Rules Committee released their quarterly update in which a massive change to the Commander ban list was outlined. 4 cards were banned: Mana Crypt, Jeweled Lotus, Dockside Extortionist, and Nadu, Winged Wisdom.
So I know, again, I'm going to be pausing this like a lot, but that's just, you know, the nature of React content. So if you're going to, this is probably going to be a YouTube video. If you're complaining about me pausing in the YouTube comments, get a job. I'm just kidding. Essentially, for people who don't know Magic in my chat, which I'm assuming is going to be a good amount of people in my chat, these 4 cards were banned. I looked up the date of the ban, and then I just completely it was the 23rd. So whatever the 23rd was, I think that was like Sunday or Monday. It was, I want to say it was Sunday. This ban, you have a card underneath my face cam, Nadu, Winged Wisdom, legendary bird creature. This card here on the right that my face cam is covering, because again, I'm an idiot. Here, I'll do that for the time being. This card right here on the right, you guys can't see my cursor because I clicked off of it. Whatever, you get the idea. Nadu, very problematic card in like every single format of the game. So Nadu getting banned in Commander came as a shock to literally nobody, and I think everybody was expecting it to be banned in Commander, and I think precisely 0 people were sad that it was banned in Commander. The other 3, Mana Crypt, Jeweled Lotus, and Dockside Extortionist, without getting into like the mechanics of Magic as a whole, because that would take time that we do not have, especially during a stream that's at midnight. But essentially, these are very expensive cards, like monetarily, not in game. You can see 2 of them cost 0 and 1 of them costs 2. But monetarily, you can press the I and turn off chat for the time being. I'm not going to turn off chat. I could, but that would make too much sense. No, I want to have chat on screen. It's fine. But these are very monetarily expensive cards that were banned, and they're very, I would say they're very competitive cards, because essentially, for people who don't know the game, a very baseline explanation of why these cards are powerful is mana is your resource for playing cards in Magic the Gathering. You need mana for essentially every action that you take. And so the more mana that you have, the better off you're going to be, and the more you're going to be winning. And these are all very fast mana cards that get you way ahead in the game with virtually no drawback. And fast mana in the Commander community is kind of the subject of a lot of controversy because there are a lot of people that like it, and there are a lot of people that really don't. And we're seeing some of the don't like here, because all 3 of these fast mana cards have been banned. I don't know if that explanation cleared up anything for like non-Magic players, but that's why they were banned, is that. And the prof might go over that in this video, but baseline explanation as to why these 3 cards were banned is they were too fast. Nadu is just a problem card all around. That Nadu's an outlier. We're not going to be talking about Nadu, and I'm assuming the professor is not either.
Philosophy behind this decision was described as the committee wanting Commander games to be slow, and that they view fast mana as being in opposition to that desire. Thus,
Right.
the Rules Committee
Which I just
decided
went
to
over.
ban Mana Crypt, Jeweled Lotus, and Dockside Extortionist. Oh, and Nadu, but Nadu's not really the subject of this video. For the most
Okay, so I predicted that. Nadu is like a huge outlier. This ban has been very controversial for a myriad of reasons. Nadu is by a wide margin, the least controversial part of this ban. Nobody cared that Nadu was banned. It needed to be.
part, everyone is on board with the Nadu ban. Good riddance, Nadu! Now, in the days since these bans were announced, we've seen the community descend into upset and outrage that honestly might be some of the worst in Magic history. In talking about these bans, I feel I need to address several hard truths. Obviously, the opinions expressed in this video are just that, opinions, but I hope you will allow me to both make my claims and then back up those claims with explanations and evidence of where and how I drew my conclusions. Let's start with the first.
And I'll try to do the same thing, obviously. But like Prof just said, you can agree if you're. I'm going to put this on YouTube, so I'm assuming this will reach a Magic audience on YouTube. I'm assuming my chat right now is going to have like no idea what I'm talking about, but if it reaches a Magic audience on YouTube, you can agree or disagree with what I'm saying. This is obviously not objective, what I'm about to say or what the professor is about to say.
First, hard truth. These bans absolutely improve the Commander format.
I don't know if I agree with this take. I'm going to get into the different views of this take as he gets into his view of this take, because I think this take is the waters of this take are muddy, to say the least. So if I'll go into it more when he goes into it more.
However, there's more to that hard truth, because despite this improving the format, I strongly believe Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus should not have been banned.
once again, for reasons that I'll get into later when he elaborates on. I guess I have to elaborate on it now because otherwise this entire first segment is gonna just be me saying, "Oh, well, when he elaborates on it, I'll elaborate on it." But let's just continue the video. So again, I'm gonna be explaining a lot for like people who aren't interested in, not necessarily aren't interested in Magic, but for people who are not knowledgeable about Magic. Commander, the Commander format is the way I would describe it, I guess, is the people's format. Like Commander is the kitchen table format. There's rules for it, obviously, because that's the whole point of a format. There's a ban list for it. There's been a ban list for it for a long, long time. But Commander is unique in Magic's formats in that it's not, there are no like official sanctioned tournaments for it. There are tournaments for it, but the company that makes Magic the Gathering, that like produces Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast, they have like official championships for playing the game where you can win like money and stuff like that. It's like the same thing as like the Pokemon card championships if you're like into that. They do not mess with Commander because Commander is like, it's essentially just a very large fan-made format. It's not official, but it kind of is how I would put it. They sell products for it. They have entire sets that are dedicated to Commander. They acknowledge that Commander exists because it is the biggest format in Magic by a mile, I would say. But they don't like have sanctioned tournaments for it or anything like that. So what gets the main like point of controversy in these bans are, it is really hard to have a ban list for a format that is casual. That not necessarily for a format that's casual, but for a format that's as casual as Commander, because a lot of people are going to say the bans improve the Commander format, and it's really hard to differentiate, because if we're talking just at a competitive level, then yes, absolutely, these bans improve the Commander format at a competitive like tournament level, because fast mana it's essentially just like it. I say this as not a competitive Commander player, so I might be talking out my ass here, but essentially fast mana is just like making your deck have better RNG, if that makes sense, because if you have fast mana in your opening hand, if you just happen to roll a good opening hand where you have fast mana, obviously you're going to do better because you have more resources to play more cards. So banning fast mana from like a competitive standpoint makes it, you could argue, less RNG reliant, which I would argue is better for the format. That being said, these and I'm sure he'll get into a lot of what I'm saying later in the video, so this is probably going to be redundant, but these cards are not a problem at a casual level. And furthermore, the ban list as a whole is really awkward at a casual level because it's casual. It's casual Magic. You're playing with friends at a kitchen table. So like, I mean, even now, Mana Crypt is officially banned, but I'm playing with my buddies in my house as opposed to like in a tournament. So if I really want to use Mana Crypt that badly, all I have to do, like if I'm playing Magic against Lemon in chat, we're sitting down at a table. Mana Crypt is officially banned, but we're just playing ourselves. So if I go to Lemon and I'm like, hey, my deck has a Mana Crypt in it, are you cool with that? And Lemon says yeah, then that's perfectly fine. And that's why this is like, this topic is, the waters of this topic are muddy as a whole because of that reason. These bans, a lot of people don't like these bans because they only help competitive, which is a point that I can definitely see and a point that I agree with. I think this only does improve the Commander format at a competitive level. And so a lot of people are mad at that because the competitive Commander community is a very, very small minority of the community. But it's also like, okay, if you're playing casually, you can just ignore the ban list, because if you're not playing in a tournament, then the ban list doesn't really matter. So it's in a really weird spot. But I'll play the video because I've literally just been yapping for like 10 minutes. We're a minute and a half into this. You didn't hear that voice crack. We're like a minute and a half into this 25-minute video, and I've just been yapping. So I'll actually let the prof talk. But that's just like the basic rundown of the problem.
There are myriad reasons for this, which I will cover in just a moment, but another hard truth about this situation is that the way in which the Rules Committee handled banning these cards was categorically wrong. There were multiple...
I agree with this for the most part. He'll go into it more, but I'm just going to say right off the bat, I agree with this for the most part.
Multiple missteps and mistakes here, including, but not limited to, not taking proper diligence to signal to the community that these bans might be coming, not consulting the Commander Advisory Group, and many more, which I will cover in more detail in just a moment.
And that's also a really big point of contention, is that these bans were not... Normally when stuff gets banned, it's like in the case of Nadu in Modern, where literally, or like FocusSh0ck in Modern, where it's like such a powerful thing that literally everyone is like, yeah, there's no way this gets banned. Which I guess FocusSh0ck wasn't technically like that right off the bat, because they banned like Stitcher's, or I don't know if they banned Stitcher Supplier, but like they were banning combo pieces as opposed to FocusSh0ck. But like stuff like that, usually bans are like either heavily telegraphed or they don't need to be, if that makes sense, because they're so readily apparent. This was completely out of left field, which pissed a lot of people off. From the fiscal aspect of this ban pissed a lot of people off as well, because, as I said, these are monetarily very valuable cards. And all of them, well, okay, Nadu isn't, but like Dockside is expensive. Jeweled Lotus was very expensive before the ban. Mana Crypt was, I think, the most expensive card that's like casually played. Before the ban. And then the day of the ban, everything crashed like to half price at least. So literally like millions of dollars evaporated with this ban, which again is a murky waters type subject to get into, because on the one hand, yeah, I would feel really bad if I saved up $200 to buy a crypt and then all of a sudden it drops to like $80. But on the other hand, you can't really take into account finance when you're banning stuff for a card game. Like, so it's just a weird it's just a weird subject of contention.
Despite the fact that I both disagree with these bans and have a lot of criticism about how they were handled, the community reaction of intense harassment towards the individuals on the Rules Committee, including an overwhelming number of death threats, is beyond unacceptable and in no way justified by what has happened here. It is,
and that's obvious too, right? What's up? What are we chatting about? We are... Oh, there's a lot of people here. We're watching a video about... This is like super nerd hour activity, so if you're not like a huge nerd like me, you're probably not going to enjoy this. I should change the category to Magic the Gathering as well. This is a Magic the Gathering video from a very reliable, or like a very well-informed Magic the Gathering source on YouTube, Tolarian Community College. You should all go subscribe to him on YouTube, since we're essentially ripping off his content. But this is about a ban in Magic the Gathering that was a very large point of contention. I think it happened Sunday, and it was like debatably the biggest point of contention in Magic the Gathering's 30-year history. So I just wanted to go over it on stream and react to a video from an informed source, rather than just have me yap about it for like 30 minutes and have me also only half know what I'm talking about, because I'm kind of an idiot. But back to the video's point. Obviously, the point that he just made is incredibly correct. I said this at the beginning of, or not at the beginning of stream, but like right before we watched this video, but I'll say it again. If you're sending death threats to people on the Rules Committee in charge for the ban, like on Twitter and stuff, because you're pissed about not being able to use a card. If you're the type of person to send death threats to somebody over a goofy card game where you're wizard battling somebody, you are unequivocally, inarguably the biggest loser on the beach. Like that's just actually ridiculous. So don't do that. Okay? Don't I can understand if you're mad at it, but like don't don't send death threats to people over a card game. Like just don't be a moron.
It is fine to be upset with, and certainly to criticize both the bannings and the rules committee, which I myself will do here in just a moment.
And I already have during this stream.
But targeting individuals with harassment, doxing, and threats of violence is absolutely shameful. There is no excuse for such behavior, and it needs to stop. And there are still more hard truths
Incredibly
to the situation as, speaking of fair criticism of organizations and their decisions, I feel strongly that Wizards of the Coast should be criticized not only for creating cards like Jeweled Lotus and Dockside Extortionist to begin with, but for reprint policies designed to keep their values so artificially high that them being banned can cause this much financial hardship and distress.
And okay, that brings up a really good point. The obviously the point of financial contention is just that. It's what I mentioned before. It sucks that millions of dollars evaporated in an instant because of these bans, because as I keep reiterating for like people in chat who are just joining and don't know about Magic, these were very expensive cards that got banned. These were the cards that we're talking about in the ban that got banned ranged from pre-ban, I think they ranged from like $60-$70 up to like $200, and they all crashed to a maximum of 50% of their of their pre-ban price. So it is literally millions of dollars evaporating in an instant because of this ban. And on the one side of the coin, you have what I'm being redundant, but this is going to be a very redundant like yap sesh. So hope you're into that. Subscribe. Obviously, you have on the one hand, you can't like if a card is taking over a format, even if it's expensive and it's going to piss a lot of people off because it's expensive, you can't just like keep it in the format because oh no, Magic investors are going to lose some of their money. Like that's obviously not something you can do. But on the other hand, you can very much so point the finger at the company who produces Magic the Gathering, Wizards of the Coast, for artificially inflating the price of these super like powerful cards in certain formats. That is 100% their fault for doing that. And it's not even a bit. You could argue like, oh, it's a business strategy that they need to like keep selling cards so that they don't go under. Not true. You are just actually wrong if you argue that. And my my evidence for saying so, look at the Pokemon TCG. Look at the Pokemon TCG. The decks that win Worlds are under $50. The decks that win Worlds for Magic the Gathering are like 2 down payments on a car. And that's only half joking.
Dockside Extortionist been properly reprinted over the past few years, it being banned now might not have carried such a financial sting if it was worth $8 instead of $80. So there are many hard truths to discuss here.
Very true.
This is a complex issue, and I have a lot to dive into. As always, I ask only that you hear me out.
So now we're into the actual video, a half hour into stream. You can see how my React content goes.
Let's begin with the most important thing surrounding these bans. Over the past few days, the backlash that we've seen to this announcement has spiraled well beyond the realm of acceptable critique. The members of the Rules Committee, the Commander Advisory Group, and even content creators who are on neither have been harassed to such extremes that include threats of violence. The biggest...
Which is wild, right? Like, we already made fun of people who make death threats over a card game. There's people in chat making fun of those people as well, W chatters. But I am in no way condoning sending death threats over a card game because you are actually a loser if you do that. But if you're going to, can you at least not catch innocent people in the crossfire? Like, that's actually insane that just content creators like the professor, who have nothing to do with this decision, are getting yelled at for this decision. That's actually wild.
His target was Olivia from Commander at Home and Elder Dragon Hijinks, who serves on the Commander Rules Committee. The threats got so out of hand that Jim from the Spike Feeders, also a member of the Rules Committee, broke with the tradition of non-disclosure in regards to votes and revealed that not only had Olivia actually been the biggest opponent of these changes, but she had proposed instead a course of action that I think the majority of Magic players would have found a lot more agreeable. Banning only Nadu and Dockside, and then waiting for the tools that the RC is apparently developing in cooperation with Wizards of the Coast that will hopefully make it easier for people to find like-minded individuals to play with. And then reassessing whether Jeweled Lotus and or Mana Crypt still even needed a ban. Yeah.
Okay, I want to read these tweets because that was an interesting thing that the prof just came up with. Commander Rules Committee decisions are rarely unanimous, obviously. No committee decision is going to be unanimous. We don't normally disclose who voted which way, but we are making an exception. Olivia pushed back against yesterday's change. None of us are above criticism, but if you hate the bans, she was your voice in the room. Obviously, Olivia being one of the big people in the Commander community that was getting a lot of unwarranted backlash, which any backlash to the extent that Olivia got it is unwarranted. Again, say it with me, Chad. I've said it like 6,000 times. If you make death threats over a card game, you are the biggest loser on the beach. Her preferred course of action was to ban Nadu and Dockside. Dockside still would have hurt if it was the only ban out of the 3 big cards that got banned, but it still would have went over so much better if only Dockside and Nadu got banned. That was a W play from Olivia. Then wait for the tools we're currently developing in cooperation with Wizards that will hopefully make it easier for people to find like-minded folks to play with and reassess on, I don't know what this is referring to, afterwards. That's a really weird thing to bring up. Not weird in the sense of bad, but like weird in the sense of interesting. So Wizards is trying to develop, like, I guess a Rule Zero conversation type thing that gets like similar playstyle pods together, which I don't know how you would be able to do that unless you're going to make, like, I guess you could do, like, I saw somebody on Twitter post about, like, maybe making like a tiers system like competitive Pokemon VGC has, which I don't know how you would do that in a casual format, again, because you don't have any of the usage data that VGC has, but it's neither here nor there for the sake of this conversation.
Yeah, I completely agree with what Olivia had wanted to do, but even if she had been the strongest supporter of these bans, even if they had been her idea, she still would not have deserved the harassment, docking attempts, and literal death threats that occurred, and that means no one else deserves that either.
And we just said that, right? Even if she was the proprietor of the bans, like, nobody deserves death threats over a card game. Just want to hit that home one more time.
This is not, oh, well, her opinion was actually what I agree with, and therefore she should not be threatened. Regardless of her opinion, she should not be threatened, and that goes for everyone else as well. Because
Correct.
this barrage
Prof.
of harassment is still going on. Jim has had to lock down his social media accounts. Josh Lee Kwai has resigned from the Commander Advisory Group. I've heard members express concerns about their personal safety at Magic conventions and events because, well, hundreds of people are sending messages encouraging people to confront individuals in person. This is not okay.
Which is crazy. If you are escalating conflict with somebody when they are at Magic Con over a slightly controversial commander ban, and you are getting, like I said, if you're escalating conflict, get a job, dude. Get a job. If you have one, get another. Get some hobbies. Cultivate some memories for yourself, bro. Stop threatening people's lives over cardboard. Like, get a life.
Do not harass anybody, regardless of whether they were in favor of or against the bans. As the case with Olivia demonstrates, you don't even know who wanted what. People have harassed the Commander Advisory Group, and then it turns out they weren't even aware this was going to happen,
Yeah,
let
that's
alone
another
involved.
big thing.
Do not harass people. Criticize policy, criticize actions, call out mistakes, but understand the difference between fair criticism and actual harassment, the difference between sharing your thoughts and actively working to make someone not feel safe at a Magic event.
And that's a lesson for the internet as a whole, right? Criticism, debates, and arguments. As long as you are debating and arguing, as opposed to, name calling and harassing, have a lot of, there's a lot of good things that come from debates and arguments on the internet, right? As long as you're not just like, well, you're an idiot if you think like this. And I know I do a lot of that. I just made a TikTok today where I said you're brain dead if you don't do a certain method in Pokemon. Obviously, that's I say that as a joke, right? Because that's my job, is to make jokes on the internet. But even stuff like that, like there's a difference between like you can tell when somebody's joking when they're like, if you don't do this in Pokemon, you're brain dead, and when somebody is like, this is your address, kill yourself on the internet, like that is crazy. But that's just the lesson of the internet as a whole. Or argue with logical points as opposed to just hurling insults and stuff like that. I'm saying it really poorly. The professor did a really great job of articulating what I am attempting to, but y'all catch my drift.
Threats of violence and
I know I
harassment
don't have to worry about
no
y'all in
place
my
in
chat.
the
Y'all are
discussion
awesome.
or anywhere in the Magic the Gathering community. You have a right to your opinion. You have a right to feel upset about these changes. You even have the right to express how you feel up to a point. And if you lack the ability to identify what that point is, to see where that line is, then it's time for you to log off. I'm not going to harp on about this point any further, but we can't talk about anything else until we talk about this. Nothing else about the bans matter nearly as much as this matters. And now that I've made that clear, we can talk about what happened and what I think about what happened. As I stated at the top of the video, I do believe these bans will result in a better Commander format. However, I also do not believe they were necessary, at least not all at once and not in this way. And while I do firmly believe this will improve the format, I do not believe it will fix it. I've always maintained that Commander is essentially a broken format that...
I was just going to say that verbatim. Commander is just impossible to fix because it's so casual. Like at the end of the day, I could run a deck with every single card on the Commander ban list in it, and then some. And as long as the people that I play, as long as my Commander pod is like, yeah, that's cool, it's cool, right? Like I said it before, Ginger Jesus Purple Rockstar in my chat. If I bring a deck with every single banned card in it on the ban list for Commander, and he does the exact same thing, and I say, hey, are you cool with playing like this? And he says, yeah, this is going to be fun. Who's going to stop me in my own home, right? And that's the problem with Commander, is that a ban list only makes sense for competitive Commander, which is even more awkward because competitive Commander is such a small portion of the Commander community as a whole comparatively. There's still a very large competitive Commander community, but it's like probably not even 1% of the people who play Commander on a basis, which is why the ban list as a whole is controversial and weird and probably something that shouldn't exist, in my opinion.
that only works so long as we all pretend that it works. You simply can't ban things into alignment in a format with this deep of a card pool. The answer is always going to lie in players making better choices when building their decks, and of course, in communicating with their playgroup. And while the Commander Rules Committee's goal of slowing down the format will come to fruition as the result of these bans, it will of course still be possible to accelerate into the mid-game. Mana Vault, an assortment of Moxen, and of course Sol Ring are all still legal.
Sol Ring, which is debatably better than Mana Crypt, because you don't take the damage from Sol Ring, and which they have expressly said that they're not going to ban, which is really confusing. Well, it's not confusing because Sol Ring is the face card of Commander, so that makes sense. But from a strictly competitive Commander ban list standpoint, not banning Sol Ring when you're banning Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus makes no sense. I see why they don't do it, but fully from a logical standpoint, it makes no sense why they don't do it. It's just one of those things. So are these only banned in competitions because they can't stop me and Bro from using them in our own games at home? Right, that's the whole point of the ban list and why it's so contentious. Technically, if you and I are playing the format Commander, we're playing with the Commander rule set, technically, even in our own home, we are not allowed to use these cards that just got banned on Sunday. The big point of contention is because this is such a casual format as a whole, it is literally exactly like you said. Who's going to stop me from doing so? Unless I'm in a tournament, which is a very small portion of Commander, like I said, nobody. Which is why a ban list for Commander is like kind of as a whole stupid. They should make the point that I agree with that a lot of people make is there should be a separate ban list for. Okay, it's a point that I kind of agree with. A lot of people are making the point that there should be a separate ban list for casual Commander and for competitive Commander. I disagree to an extent. I think competitive Commander should have its own ban list. I think that's all well and good for competitive Commander. I think a lot of competitive Commander players would be excited about these bans. I think everything outside of tournament Commander should have no ban list because that's just that it's a casual format. The ban list should be, hey, Joe, do you like this? Are you cool with if I play with this card? And then Joe says, oh yeah, that card's fine. Or no, I don't really like playing with that card. I would appreciate if you didn't play with it against me. That should be the casual Commander ban list. If you want to have ban lists at tournaments, that makes complete sense because obviously there are some broken cards that you don't want to be, dealing with in a tournament setting. But like me and Joe playing at home at our kitchen table, I feel like a ban list for that is just kind of arbitrary and stupid, which is the whole point of why people are getting mad at these bans.
Green decks still have green ramp, but these kinds of fast starts will certainly happen less often. Red decks also suffered a disproportionate blow as the color doesn't have any other accelerant on par with Dockside Extortionist, but decks of all kinds will be
maybe
slower
Jessica's
going
will, but
forward.
still.
Honestly,
the
I
point
believe
stands.
any given one of the cards banned on Monday were worthy of being banned from a power level standpoint alone. I even believe it's possible that the Commander format will be more fun in 3 or 6 months than it was a week ago. Mana Crypt offers players 2 extra mana every turn for virtually no downside given Commander's high life totals. While both Jeweled Lotus and Dockside Extortionist are cards designed specifically for Commander that are so powerful to the point where I personally wish they'd never been printed at all. That's actually one of my strongest beliefs about all of this. It's not that I feel that Dockside Extortionist, Jeweled Lotus, and obviously Nadu needed to be banned, well, maybe Nadu, but it's more that these cards should never have been made in the first place. Instead,
I don't think I disagree, or I don't think I agree with that take, except for Nadu. Nadu was an atrocity in Magic the Gathering. That was just absolutely wild. I don't even know how that got past the printing presses. The other two I think are fine. They're annoying to play against, but like there are other again, it all comes down to the issue of, hey Joe, are you cool if I use Dockside in my deck? Nah, man, I would really prefer if you didn't use that in your deck. Okay, cool. I'll take it out. I'll slot in Jessica's will. You know, it all comes down to that because it's such a casual format. That's like the whole problem.
Instead of bans, I was much more in favor of reasonably reprinting these cards so that they became affordable. I am a strong believer in players deciding for themselves whether they want to play with cards like Jeweled Lotus. And
Absolutely.
full disclosure, I actually own 0 Jeweled Lotuses because I hate the design of that card. I hated it when I saw it, hated it for what it does to commander decks, so my choice was I don't want to play with it. I never advocated for it to be banned, however. Longtime viewers will...
I also usually don't put Jeweled Lotus in my deck because I don't really like it either. But that's neither here nor there for this argument. Gonna have to cancel on Fall Guys, but I'll stay in the stream. All right, that's fine, man. No worries. Maybe catch you tomorrow. I don't know your plans, but maybe we'll catch you tomorrow if that would be cool. I don't know, though.
Also remember that my many complaints about Dockside Extortionist were of it not being reprinted, that Wizards of the Coast allowed this card that originated in a Commander precon to climb in value to over $80 by not ever reprinting it in any precon ever again, not reprinting it in a standard set at Rare, not even reprinting it in Commander Legends 2, where it would have been both welcome and a flavor win. But the Rules Committee does not control...
And again, that's a problem for the TCG as a whole. They need to, dude, they need to take on, I'm sorry if it hurts their profit margins, but their player base would be so much happier with it. And I feel like that would equate to more product bought, which would equate to better profit margins. So it wouldn't even matter. Guys, look at the difference in the deck costs. If you're watching this on YouTube, because I might make this into a YouTube video. We're watching it on stream. Follow me at FocusSh0ck TTV. It's not FocusSh0ck TTV. It's in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. But if you're watching this and you're a Magic player and you have no idea about Pokemon card decks, I want you to do an experiment for me. I want you to do something on your alt monitor right now because you're probably watching this on an alt monitor because I do that too with YouTube videos. But I want you to do an experiment for me. I want you to open a new tab in your search engine. I want you to type in MTG Modern Decks and click on I'm going to do this with you right now. Not on stream, but on my alt monitor. I want you to type in MTG Modern Decks and hit enter. MTG Goldfish is not like the greatest place to find modern decks I found. I want you to go to the mtgdecks.net link. I want you to click on that. I want you to look at the average price of decks that you find for modern, and the average price of decks that I'm seeing is $600, $700, $800 for competitive modern decks. Now I want you to close that tab, and I want you to type in PTCG decks. And the first link that'll pop up is decks from Limitless TCG. I want you to click on that, and then it'll show you the page that you'll get is just popular decks in standard right now, which is like the only competitively played format in Pokemon for the most part. I want you to click on any of the popular decks, and I challenge you to find a deck that is not like blinged out with the most expensive like alt art versions of cards. I want you to find me a deck that is $100 or more, that has won a sanctioned tournament. You will literally not be able to. Magic needs to adopt Pokemon's strategy of printing cards. Pokemon still has the insanely pricey like alt art cards, and that still keeps people buying packs. It still keeps Pokemon's pockets lined, but they print the absolute hell out of cards that are, still competitive, still really good for decks, so that you can have the collectors that are interested in the super alt art versions, which would be like people who collect mana crypts for because they're essentially investing in stocks. You can still have the collection point of it where for like buying and selling big money cards, but you can also have the competitive point of it where people can actually play your game without dropping literally 4 digits on it. Like, that's actually crazy to me that Magic does not, in the year 2024, a 60 card deck of Magic the Gathering cards for a modern tournament would cost the average person like $600, $700, $800. That's absolutely wild.
Control whether or not Wizards of the Coast will reprint a card. However, if we are going to talk about the Rules Committee, I think it is fair to take issue with the way in which these cards were banned.
Absolutely. For sure.
To begin, I find it shocking that the Commander Advisory Group was not consulted about these potential bans. For those not familiar, the Rules Committee is the decision-making body that determines everything from policy to bans,
Right.
but there is an advisory group of members from many different parts of the Commander community who are meant to assist and advise the Rules Committee.
Okay. So a couple things. First off, I was not, I'm glad that the prof went over the two different groups because I was familiar with the Commander Rules Committee going into this video. I was not, I mean, obviously you can use your context clues and see what the Commander Advisory Group does, but I just wanted a little bit of clarification for that. So W, Professor, for explaining that. The big glaring red flag here that should be waving in the face of literally everybody, even players, even people who like don't know anything about Magic. If you're not letting your advisory group advise you on what to ban, what is the point of having the advisory group? What is the point? The entire purpose of the advisory group is to advise the Rules Committee and be like, hey, you know, maybe this ban is a good idea, or maybe this ban isn't a good idea. If you're not letting them do that, and that's probably why we've seen such a big influx of people resigning from the Commander Advisory Group. If you're not letting them advise, what is the point of the group? There isn't one.
As the Rules Committee itself says, the Commander Advisory Group is there to highlight potential format improvements, discuss the impact of proposed changes, and help the Rules Committee stay in touch with the community. Seems like exactly who you should have discussed the idea of doing such sweeping and unprecedented bans with.
Based
Yet,
Professor.
The CAG was just as
Obviously.
blindsided as the rest of the community, which begs the question, if you're not going to seek advice from your advisory group, what is the point in having an advisory group?
I swear this wasn't pre-watched. W Professor, that's literally what I just said. I feel like not such an idiot anymore. I mean, okay, to be fair, that was like a super obvious point, but still. W Professor, that's literally, what is the point? If you're not going to take their advice, what's the point of an advisory group? What up, Andy? Good to see you in chat.
In an updated post, the Rules Committee explained that a concern for leaks is what largely kept them from consulting the CAG.
Then, okay, if you're that concerned about leaks, that you're not going to the advisory committee about the advisory group about these bans, then again, what is the point of the group? Like, that's just baffling. That's so odd.
Along the same lines of asking what is the point of having an advisory group that you do not seek advice from, I feel it is fair to say that if you cannot trust your advisory group, a group made up of luminaries from the Magic community, from Rachel Weeks to Kristen Gregory to Ben Wheeler, Rachel Agnes, Rebel, Shivam, Tim Willoughby, Josh Lee Kwai, well, not Josh anymore, as following this ban announcement, he stepped down after nearly half a decade on the CAG.
Which W Josh for doing that, because exactly what we've been saying. What's the point of being on the group if you're not going to be consulted? And now Josh is taking strays on like Twitter from people who are pissed about this when he didn't know about it and may or may not be just as pissed as the majority of the, well, not the majority. I don't know if it's the majority, but may or may not be as pissed as the people yelling at him. Like, that's crazy.
Be clear, the reasons behind his resignation are currently known only to him, and no specific issue was cited in his statement of resignation, but regardless, I think it was a huge mistake not to involve the CAG in these decisions, at the very least to hear differing opinions and viewpoints to help guide their decision-making.
Exactly.
In regards to the bans themselves, I simply don't believe a massive wave of significant bans is the best way to approach the curation of a non-rotating format with a card pool as deep as Commander. Just because four
I mean, definitely not, because it's just, again, for the reason that we've been stating this whole stream, it's just not going to work in such a casual format. If you're trying to curate Commander how you want it by just banning a bunch of cards, eventually people are going to be like, all right, well, I play it in my house. The Commander police are not going to, be sent after me if I play a Mana Crypt in my deck, so whatever. And that's the problem with the ban list as a whole.
cards are powerful enough to potentially be worth banning still doesn't mean the format needs all 4 cards gone at once, or even at all. Sometimes it only needs a couple taken away for the rest to become less offensive after the new meta shakes out. Look at the recent bannings in Pioneer, for example. Prior to the ban, Pioneer was a 3-deck format. Rakdos Vampires, Abzan Amalia Combo, and Izzet Phoenix. When Wizards decided to ban a card each from Rakdos Vampires and Abzan Amalia, many Magic the Gathering players thought this was insufficient to fix the format, as it would only neuter 2 of the 3 oppressive decks. But if you look at the Pioneer metagame today, a month later, the format is wide open. Izzet Phoenix is certainly still a good deck, but there are other powerful decks like Rakdos Sacrifice, Azurius Control, 5-color Enigmatic Fires, and several others which have all risen to compete with the Bird Menace. The choice to ban just 2 cards back in August allowed the format to self-correct around the remaining power outlier deck. By that same token...
And that's a good point to bring up. I don't play Pioneer, so I wasn't familiar with any of those points, but that is a very good point. Obviously, not all the bans needed to be made at once or even at all.
Consider the community's reaction if the Rules Committee had chosen to only ban, say, Nadu and Dockside Extortionist on Monday. Sure, some players who owned copies of Dockside Extortionist would have lost value, and certainly some red players would complain that their decks will struggle to keep up against their green opponents. But by and large, the format would adjust, and players would understand. After all, Dockside Extortionist has been a power-level outlier for a while. It's also a unique...
Obviously. And that, again, like he said, that would be far less offensive as a whole than banning all 4 of these at once, because Dockside is a card that, like, even though I don't think it should be banned, it is a card that, like, everybody hates seeing come down. And Nadu, we just knew was going to be banned anyway.
Unique card. No other single card in Commander generates as much mana as Dockside is capable of making, not even Mana Crypt or Jeweled Lotus. And once you start blinking or bouncing a Dockside to re-trigger it, then, well, I'm sure you've played against a Dockside Extortionist. You know what happens. Banning Nadu and Dockside Extortionist would have been a significant reset to the Commander meta, and I believe it's entirely possible that the frequency of fast starts that the committee highlighted may have self-corrected. In fact, of the mana accelerant trio of Mana Crypt, Jeweled Lotus, and Dockside Extortionist was the most likely to show up at the more casual tables that the Rules Committee is trying to protect.
Which is kind of weird. Just like on a side note, it was the least expensive, and it's probably the biggest offender of the fast mana trio, because you can produce vastly more mana with Dockside than you can with the others, but I digress.
Zero conversation surrounding 0 mana accelerants is much simpler and easier to navigate than a Rule 0 conversation that bars all fast mana of any kind, except Soul Ring is fine, and so are Mana Dorks, and Green Ramp, and Arcane Signet, and Talismans.
Which, again, this is going to be very redundant. I'm sorry. We've been watching this 25-minute video for, like, an hour, and we're only 3/4 of the way through it. Not even. But, like, that's the entire point, is Rule 0 conversations are a much more effective ban list than a ban list will ever be, which is why a lot of people are pissed at all of these bans. Because effectively, the only thing that the bans do for, like, non-competitive players is lose them money, because casual players are still going to play with these cards. They don't care.
And so on and so forth. Now, if
Myself
the Rules
included.
Committee wanted to call out Jeweled Lotus and Mana Crypt as potential targets for a future ban, that would have been reasonable as well. They could have gauged community opinion and given players the chance to part way with their Lotuses and Crypts well in advance. Now, in a follow-up article, the committee brought up a couple fair points about watch lists like this. First of all, putting a card on a watch list and then never banning it creates a kind of financial anxiety around that card. The card could still be banned at any point, but maybe it never does. And players would never know for sure. Maybe the players...
Okay, but as long as the players don't know, that's a big who cares. As long as they know that there's potential in advance. Like you could argue, well, there's a potential for every card to be banned in advance, but like they didn't telegraph that these cards would be banned at all. So like in the minds of a lot of this is obviously a very big exaggeration, so take it with a grain of salt, but like in the minds of players, Jeweled Lotus was like as likely to get banned as like Llanowar elves. Like it just wasn't something on, I would say, the vast majority of people's radars.
Who would want the cards banned would get frustrated at the lack of action. And while this is certainly a possibility, I don't personally believe this potential downside is really as significant as a completely unannounced banning that marks a distinct shift in philosophy.
Absolutely
In addition,
not.
The committee said that a watch list would push the loss of value onto less enfranchised players who might not be aware of the risk of owning watch list cards.
So so a couple things. First off, and that sounds dickish of me to say, but like it's kind of the truth. Like you can't just not ban Nadu because Nadu is $100 and it might affect people who are invested in Nadus, you know? And Nadu's an outlier because Nadu is powerful in every single format, but like y'all catch my drift. But furthermore, how is that not an argument that you could make for just banning stuff out of nowhere? Because banning stuff out of nowhere doesn't catch less enfranchised players off guard. It catches everybody off guard. So there's more people getting cucked. Like that's kind of a nothing burger argument, if you ask me.
Players who knew a potential banning was coming up could offload their crypts and lotuses on unsuspecting players at their local game store. My problem with this line of thinking, though, is that these less enfranchised players are taking a hit no matter what. If they were looking to buy a mana crypt or a Jeweled Lotus for their commander deck, then they'd do that anyway, watch list or no. I am of the opinion that more warning is always better for any ban this significant. Consider Wizards of the Coast's BNR announcement from August again. In that article, Wizards highlighted a card in each from Pioneer, Modern, and Legacy that are on the watch list. Treasure Cruise in Pioneer, the One Ring in Modern, and Psychic Frog in Legacy. The One Ring, in particular, is a $100 card. Many Modern players own 4 copies of this card. These Modern players know the card could get banned out from under them, but they are holding on to them anyway. If the One Ring is...
Well, because the odds that it doesn't get banned if it hasn't been banned for this long are pretty low, I would say. But like, can you imagine the backlash in the Modern community if they didn't telegraph that like the ring was a potential target for a ban, and then they just banned the ring out of nowhere? Like, Modern players would lose their minds, and I would say rightfully so, right?
Is banned in the next announcement, these players will know the risk they took by not selling them sooner. Honestly, I feel the notion that the committee couldn't have provided any warning doesn't hold much water, given the previous quarterly rules update in July. In that announcement, the committee mentioned that Nadu was on their radar as a card that could get banned. That's it. Just Nadu. So it's not that the rules committee is philosophically opposed to warnings about potential bans. They just specifically didn't want to warn about Mana Crypt, Jeweled Lotus, or Dockside Extortionist. That is hard to stomach, given that Nadu was only a $3 card prior to the ban, while the other 3 cards were in the $100 price range and up. Now, I do think in an ideal world, the Rules Committee should not have to take into account card price when making their decisions.
And this is another point of contention he's going to go into, so I'll keep mine brief. Should they have to, as he says, should they have to in an ideal world? No. But with card prices like Magic's, should they make things... Should they be afraid of banning cards because of their value? No. Should they take the steps to soften the financial blow across the spectrum as much as they can? Absolutely.
If a card is making the format less fun, or less diverse, or fundamentally breaks the game in some way, then it should be banned regardless of whether it's a $3 card or a $100 card. Wizards of the Coast certainly doesn't consider card prices when making decisions about the legality of a format, and I don't think the Rules Committee should have to either, to a certain extent. If a card is clearly an egregious power outlier, then it should go. Dockside Extortionist clearly falls into that category, but Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus don't. Not really. They were two of the strongest cards in the format, but they weren't that far removed from Soul Ring or Mana Vault. I consider Soul Ring to be more powerful than both Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus. It therefore does.
I would say it's not more popular than Lotus. I would argue that it's more powerful than Vault. Or not Vault, Crypt, for sure.
Does not feel to me like Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus were egregious enough offenders for the committee to not take into account the financial blow that banning them would lead to. And to be clear, I'm very sympathetic to folks who owned copies of the banned cards. And while it's not the committee's fault that these cards were so expensive, I do still think that the financial blow could have and should have carried more weight. Moreover,
Correct. I mean, I just said that. Absolutely. W Professor.
I am concerned about the fallout that this ban decision will have on one of the more important pillars of the Commander community: trust. This decision marks a significant shift in ban philosophy by the Rules Committee. Prior to September 23rd, Commander players had grown to expect a certain hands-off approach to the Commander ban list. It seemed as though the committee was content with the buffer provided by Rule Zero conversations and the natural capacity for casual Commander tables to self-regulate.
Which, again, sorry for redundancy, we've said this like a billion times during stream. That should just be the casual commander rule list or ban list itself. There should be no ban list for any other commander other than like sanctioned commander or not sanctioned commander tournaments, because there are no sanctioned commander tournaments. But like tournaments, I can see you wanting a ban list. There shouldn't be a ban list for casual, and you can make the argument that there kind of isn't, and I would have to agree with you, which is like the whole point of contention again. But I digress. Andy, what do you need?
There were exceptions, of course. Cards like Hullbreacher and Golos received bans due to egregiously unfun play patterns and restriction of format diversity. But for the most part, based on prior history, players assumed that their expensive mana rocks were staples of the format, as untouchable in Commander as Brainstorm and Wasteland are in Legacy, or Fetchlands are in Modern. Were these cards clearly some of the best in the format? Yes, of course. But there were enough of these kinds of cards in the format that had remained legal for long enough that it's no wonder that players assumed these cards were relatively safe to spend money on. After last month...
Absolutely. With the obvious exception of stuff like Lotus and Moxen, which are, again, outliers, especially in the fiscal spectrum, because there's so much money, but like mana rocks as a whole, I don't think anybody saw any type of mana rock ban happening. Hello, Andy.
Monday, that's no longer true. Going forward, Commander players have a new factor to take into account when considering whether or not to buy that next new expensive Commander product. After all, these were cards that were either specifically designed with Commander in mind, or were used to promote products to Commander players who might otherwise ignore a set. Jeweled Lotus was on the box
Modern
art
Horizons
for Commander
3.
Masters just
Modern
over
Horizons
a year ago.
3.
And as recently as last December, Mana Crypt was used to push Lost Caverns of Ixalan's sealed product. So I completely understand why someone would feel like a rug has been pulled out from under them. I'm sure this shift in philosophy...
And again, you shouldn't feel the need to, like... You shouldn't feel the need to not ban something if it's an egregiously, like... If it's overtaking the format just because of, like, finance. But A, this was not the case, and B... I feel like this was kind of, in poor taste of them, as the prof is saying, to push these cards so much and then to just be like, nope, can't use them anymore.
It would be easier for players
Especially
to stomach
recently.
if it felt consistent. Unfortunately, the announcement did not offer much consistency. The section on why Soul Ring remained legal undercut the legitimacy of the previous section.
And we just said that, right? Do I understand why they left Soul Ring legal? Yeah, absolutely. Does it make any sense if you think about it from a purely logical perspective? No. It just straight up doesn't. And I don't think that's a point that you can argue.
The committee wrote, based on our own criteria, Soul Ring should be banned, but we don't want to do that, because banning Soul Ring would fundamentally change the identity of the format. This pair of sentences completely undermines the justification for banning the other two mana rocks. All the same arguments applied to Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus could also be applied to Soul Ring. What's more, defending Soul Ring on the basis of not changing the identity of the format is, quite frankly, nonsense, given that the existing bans already diverges from the committee's long-standing approach to the legality of the strongest mana rocks.
I could see what they were going for when they said that, but yeah, it is kind of a nothing burger.
Yeah, we all know why Soul Ring wasn't banned. It's a $1 card that everyone can easily acquire, and more importantly, it's in virtually every single precon. Banning Soul Ring would invalidate every Commander precon, not just in existence today, but also any future precon that's already in production. But neither of these reasons were named in that article. Instead, the reasons provided were reasons that could just as easily be applied to Mana Crypt and Jeweled Lotus. Soul Ring is the iconic card of the format. Jeweled Lotus literally only works in Commander.
I was just going to say that Jeweled Lotus, if it was more accessible, would be far more iconic than Soul Ring. That might be a hot take, but I don't think it is. If it was more accessible to the average player, especially with like everybody knows what Black Lotus is, right? Not everybody outside of Magic knows what Soul Ring is. In fact, I would argue a lot of people outside of Magic would have no idea what a Soul Ring is. Everybody outside of Magic knows what a Black Lotus is, right? So if Jeweled Lotus was more accessible to the average player, if it wasn't like so egregiously priced and they refused to reprint it and it wasn't like $100, if Jeweled Lotus was Soul Ring priced, Jeweled Lotus would be the face of the format. Just because, oh, hey, it's a Lotus that only works in Commander. And Jeweled Lotus being banned is like also kind of horrendous because of that. Because it only works in Commander. So Jeweled Lotus has like one use in Legacy now, and that's for like doubling cube decks. Or if you're like really starved for like affinity fuel, you could use it for affinity fuel.
And don't go running to the comments to tell me about the Legacy doubling cube deck. You know what I mean by this. The fact that Soul Ring remains legal while cards like Coalition Victory, Primeval Titan, and Sylvan Primordial remain banned is philosophically incoherent. It's hard to put your faith in the committee's decision-making when it is difficult to follow their rationale, just as it is also difficult to follow their rationale in not better consulting their own Commander Advisory group.
Okay, real talk. I know Coalition Victory is a point of like minor contention on the ban list. Like when TikTokers will make like top 6 cards that shouldn't be on the Commander ban list. I feel like Coalition Victory tops every single one of those, and I also don't understand. Like, yeah, it's a card that you run and that you auto run in like every single 5-color deck just because you're pretty much always going to win the game if it resolves, but like it's a sorcery, first off. Counterspell. Counterspell. I guess if you're not playing with blue players, then it's just get destroyed, which is, you know, it is what it is. But like there are a lot of other cards that are virtually guaranteed win conditions without the use of counterspells, you know? It's I don't know how I feel about that.
At the end of the day, my hope is that the Rules Committee adjusts their approach to future ban announcements based on what happened here. This is a learning moment if ever there was one. Hopefully, future high-impact bans do not come without any semblance of warning. I also hope the committee can begin to articulate their thought process in a way that instills more faith in their decisions. I hope that this week hasn't done significant damage to the committee's reputation, nor caused too many Commander players to walk away from Magic's most popular format. And despite all of these
I think the people who are walking away from Commander because of this are losers. I'll just say it. I'll just say it. You don't have to agree with me, but if you're walking away from Commander or even Magic as a whole because of this, you're a dork, okay? And I mean that in a derogatory sense. No, I'm just kidding. I love all of you, but like, I think you're misinformed. If you're not misinformed, misinformed is a bad term, but I think you're maybe overreacting is a better term. If you're walking away from this game just because of this, I think you're overreacting. That's probably the best way I could have put that out.
Mistakes and missteps, I still truly believe that these bans can make Commander more fun in the long term. I'll be holding out hope for that. I am saddened by the loss of value, but I'm much more frustrated at Wizards of the Coast for allowing their game pieces to balloon to the prices that they did than I am at the committee for doing what they felt was best for the health of Commander. As for the community, well, this week has been really hard to witness as someone who loves this game and who loves the people who play it. The level of vitriol on social media, in the comments of content creators' videos, in the DMs of committee members, it's all extremely disappointing, and it's morally reprehensible. No, ultimately, I do not agree with the decision made last Monday, nor do I agree with the way in which it was carried out. The committee themselves weren't even in unanimous agreement there. But at the end of the day, none of that matters when people are being harassed and threatened for doing their job. An unpaid volunteer job at that. There are ways to make your concerns known that are constructive and that lead to a better game and community in the long term.
Yeah, dude, for real. And that sounds really obvious, but like, all you have to do if you don't agree with this, you don't even I was going to say do what I'm doing. You don't even have to do what I'm doing. This is an hour time investment that we've gone through on stream of me just being like, hey, I don't agree with this. This is why. I'm going to watch the professor say he doesn't agree with this, and this is why. I was going to say you could do that if you're that frustrated with it. That would work perfectly, because I think this has gotten a lot of points across in this video. But also, just leave him a tweet. Just reply to that message on Twitter and just be like, hey, I don't like this. You don't even really have to say this is why. Just be like, hey, I don't really enjoy this change. That not cool. You don't have to say literally kill yourself over this. Like that's crazy. People getting death threats over this is wild. And again, say it with me, chat. Say it with me. If you are sending people death threats over a goofy card game, you're a loser. You are the biggest loser on the beach.
I'm asking you, one human being to another, please don't be a part of the problem. And with that,
Absolutely,
I cautiously ask, what are your thoughts on these bans? Do you agree with some of them, all of them, or none of them at all? Let me know in the comments below. And if you'd like to cleanse your palate of the drama and just enjoy people playing Commander and having fun, why not check out an episode of Shuffle Up and Play? Our newest episode features Wubby, Batty, and Lewis Stardust, or flip back a few episodes and watch our game with Ristic Studies, Voxy, and Spencer Crittenden. Let's all remember that Commander is a fun game that you play with friends, new and old. Let's celebrate and embrace that.
True. WProfvid. Again, everybody go subscribe to that dude on YouTube. Everybody like that video. If you have any thoughts on like, hey, I want to get into Magic, I mean, you probably don't after this video, because this video probably was, you probably watched this and were like, ooh, maybe this is not a good hobby to get into. I assure you, 99% of the time, it's a very fun hobby to get into. You should definitely get into it. If you're considering getting into it, go watch. My number one thing that I say for people, well, first off, learn the rules of the game, obviously. And for that, Magic the Gathering Arena, you can download it on Steam. You can download it on mobile. I don't think you can download it on console, but I'm not going to say that definitively. But I am going to say I don't think you can. Download MTG Arena if you want to get into the game, learn the rules. And then for just getting a better grasp on like game sense and stuff, watch games on YouTube. Just watch people play the game. And for that, watch Tolarian Community College's show Shuffle Up and Play, because they are not only really good at playing the game and really good at explaining actions and stuff, but they are also hilarious, and I have never not laughed at a single episode of Shuffle Up and Play that I've watched. So W Professor, that took way longer than I thought it was going to. I thought this was going to be like, it was a 25-minute video. I thought it was going to be literally like a 45-minute segment. We're an hour and a half into stream almost. So this was much longer than I thought it was. So appreciate, especially people in chat who are like not familiar with Magic, appreciate y'all sticking with me with this, because I know this was probably a long and drawn out segment, but I wanted to, you know, voice my opinions and stuff on this topic. Anyway, we're not doing Fall Guys anymore, which is super cool because I know it's late. People are tired. That's completely fine. We're gonna finish the PokeRogue run from last night. We're gonna wrap that up, and then I'm gonna end stream. So let me change the stream category, and we'll get cooking on that. Again, really appreciate everybody who may not have even been super interested in that topic for sticking by. Y'all mean the world to me, and I love y'all. Anyway, let's continue with this. We're doing a mono rock type run. We can only use rock types in this run. If anybody's not familiar with PokeRogue, this is literally just a Pokemon game in your browser. You can go on Google and just search PokeRogue, and you can also play this. It's free. It's literally just endless Pokemon battles, essentially. And we're trying to... There's like a story mode option, which is not endless. You go up to battle 200, and we're trying to win a run using only one type the whole run. So we already beat a ghost type run. Now we're doing rock type. Electrode really just blew up on us like that was going to do anything. Chat, are we serious? And we get full parried. What a way to jump into the run. That's awesome. How much money do we have? Not a lot. Is X speed even worth? I feel like Terrakion outspeeds a lot of stuff. It was good. I'm glad. Thank you. Thank you for the W's in chat as well. I'm glad that that was not like an incredibly boring topic for everybody. Apologies for literally yapping more than the video's length that we were watching, but you know, it's gotta be, you know, reactive content has got to add something if it's going to be reactive content. If I was to just sit here and mindlessly watch the video, that's stupid for everybody involved, including myself, including Tolarian College, including everybody watching. Okay, we're hatching. We've never hatched Farfetch'd Galar. Okay, that's pretty good then. We always have to take the egg vouchers. That is a mandatory rule for my runs. We always pick the gambling items. Because remember, gambling is good. Gambling will get you places in life. Not financial advice, also in Minecraft. We're just going to Rock Slide into Iron Defense. I don't see Rock Slide not killing unless it misses. We're +2. Okay, yeah, just straight up missed. I thought it didn't kill. That would have been kind of awkward. We'll take up the Nuggy. We need as much money as we can get since we're very quickly approaching the end game here. Avengers reference? Also, let me pull up like the routes or like the meaningful levels. I think we have a rival battle at, or not a rival battle, a gym leader at floor 110. Use Crunch. Oh my god, it used Bite. We get a justified proc, get absolutely trolled. Take the potion, why not? Do we have a wide lens? We have one wide lens on this. We need another wide lens on Terrakion, ideally. Take the Great Ball. We don't really... We're hitting caps. I think we just take the money over the XP item. Oh, this is a gym leader. I was not paying attention. I think we still just sword stance and then just sweep, provided nothing's faster than us, which is asking a lot when we're going against electric types, but I digress. Nice crit against a Lantern. That might have mattered. No Intimidate on the Luxray is a W. Did we actually just sweep there? Oh, we swept and we swept and we stole 2 berries. All right, W. This is an evil team floor, if I'm not mistaken, or an evil team area. Yeah, we have a grunt at 112, a grunt at 114, and then the evil team leader at 115. So we have Lucamine, since this is an Aether Foundation profile. Oh, we're getting focus punched. Yep, we die. That didn't need to be a crit, but okay. Alright. Well, let me buy... Oh, we can just click revive. Okay, that works. Oh, I literally just said that it was a evil team fight, and I immediately forgot. Okay, this guy's trash. Bro has Corsola. Bro has Corsola, Stoutland, whatever the other thing... whatever the other thing was. Garganacl cleans. Minecraft Donkey Kong cleans. God, I'm starting to get like the nasally thing where I sound like I have a stuffed up nose. It's literally just because my throat is dry. And water is not helping for whatever reason. Terrakion should just be able to clean up the rest of this. We're fine. Shell armor, yeah, that doesn't help when you have no defense, buddy. But he had two cannons. What the fluff? Let's Hyper Potion Terrakion. We don't really need to revive Garganacl. Garganacl's kind of not great. Sacred Sword in case of Focus Punch. This Conkeldurr didn't have it. Earth Power. We can put that on Terrakion. That's actually kind of sick. Hyperpod into taking the Big Nuggy. They didn't tell me it was an admin on 114. Huh? Okay, I think we just sweep with Cleave because we're +1 defense. Or +1 speed, +2 attack. Okay, or we can come across Claydol. How long are you streaming for tonight? Whenever this run ends is when I'll get off. I would assume these runs are usually 2 hours front to back, so I would assume like an hour from now, give or take, is when I'll be ending. See ya. That was easy. Chat, say it with me. Keep gambling. Oh, Lucamine was right after. That was a fumble. I forgore. Please don't Moonblast me. Thank you. Do I have a Lepa Berry? I do not have a Lepa Berry. This is bad. Oh, I just used it. Okay, never mind. We're chilling. Snatch to the Miracle Seed. That's not going to matter, but that's cool. Sacred Sword, see ya. Kills through Fluffy, which is kind of cool. And then Nihilego. Oh, we actually just one-tap Nihilego. Okay. W boss fight. That was easy as hell. We need some encounters, dog. We haven't rolled a cave or anything this whole run. Like, I need something to work with. Terrakion's good, but I need something to work with that isn't Terrakion. I thought I had a speed boost. I was like, how is bro faster? Ooh. We could do Earthquake on Terrakion, or we could do a second Focus Band. I think second Focus Band is the play. How likely is this to proc? 10% chance each stacks. There's a 20% chance that we just don't die now. Whenever we get hit. Which obviously is really good. But it's also a 20% chance, which in Pokemon means it's never gonna proc ever. Don't static proc me. Don't para. Thank you. Much appreciated. We'll take the balls. Pause. We'll take the Ganlon berry because we consumed a lot of our berries. What's the next floor that actually matters? We just had a gym leader on 110, so the next floor that actually matters isn't until 140, where we have another gym leader. But he got the Quick Claw proc. Only item that bro was holding too. That's annoying. Okay. I didn't know if Sacred Sword killed, but asking that not to kill me was asking a lot. Okay, we're +1 defense, +2 attack. I think we just sweep now. Oh, now we don't. Oh, wait, okay. We had a Lum Berry, we're fine. I thought we were gonna get Parastun locked, but we're chilling. The Grip Claw is actually starting to proc now, too, which is cool. Please give me an encounter. I don't even know if I can get an encounter in this biome, but I'm going to beg for one anyway. Put a Quick Claw on Terrakion. Rock Slide into Body Press action. See ya. We'll do Sacred Sword into, I don't know, Iron Defense action in case of another double battle, which, spoiler alert, probably not happening. Rare Candy, because why not? See ya. Let's go Potion. We'll Sacred Sword this Greedent because Greedent is a defensive beast, and then we'll just Body Press Linoon because Linoon sucks. But he didn't die from that? Damn. Rare Candy again, just to get some extra levels above the cap. Sacred Sword. Oh, Black Belt is really good, but so is Big Nuggy. I think we want more damage output, though, so I'm going to go Black Belt. Steal the Citrus Berry. Damn. We'll Hyper Pot it up. Lax. Oh, there's no Sacred Sword PP. Okay, so we definitely don't one-shot. Don't even 2-tap? That's sad. And now this is a +3 Snorlax, and we still outspeed. Get trolled. W Terrakion. Can I please get a biome where I can get encounters? Please. What would I even be able to get on this route? Maybe like Arcanine Hisui, since we're in the sun, but I doubt it. Terrakion's just gonna have to carry through the whole game. That's just the way it is. We'll Rock Slide this. W Jump Bluff. Literally free Mega Horn. I don't think that's worth. I think our moveset with Terrakion as it is fine. Of course, bro has Sturdy. Use a recoil move. Get absolutely destroyed, idiot. 135 trainer. Free Swords Dance because the AI loves to switch for some reason. Nice. 95% accurate, by the way. We're gonna get Future Sighted too, so we're guaranteed dead after we kill this guy. Okay, maybe it's after we kill this guy. Does Future Sight in this game just not work if you kill whatever used it? Or is that how Future Sight works in all games? I feel like it's very not. I feel like it definitely doesn't work like that. Oh, didn't have Sturdy. W. We'll Hyper Potion up. Whimsicott, this probably outspeeds me. That's sad. Nope, I'm +1 speed. See ya. I don't want lures right now just because our team is like, aside from Terrakion, our team is the opposite of stacked. Yo, we're just juicing this Terrakion, but like, we're so cooked otherwise. Give it an Enigma Berry. Like, this Terrakion is the FocusSh0ck of Terrakions, but oh my god. If Terrakion dies, we just actually lose. Okay, well, GG. GG. Gonna have to use a restart on this one, unless... No, we definitely die. Wow, this being in the sun actually screwed us over so bad. Because we're gonna have to deal with solar beams now. That's just so awesome. Nice. Bruh. Bruh. Okay. So we lose again because this Vileplume just cleans us. This probably one-taps us with... Yeah, I was going to say. With Solar Beam? No shot, it doesn't. Okay. So we have to find somewhere where we can fit a Swords Dance in. We can't just rely on crits, unfortunately. I think it's just right when Vileplume comes out, we have to dance, right? Yeah, Giga Drain, we're left on a little bit of HP. We recover because of Enigma Berry. Can we just sweep with Cleave now, is the question. And I feel like the answer is probably. Oh. Tangrowth eats that? No way. Oh my god. Tangrowth eats that? Oh, we're dead. There's literally no way we win against this. Rock Slide Flinch would be like our one saving grace. Okay, we kill the Vileplume. Kill the Jumpluff. Rock Slide Flinch. Oh my god, I'm the GOAT. I'm the GOAT. Got the Rock Slide Flinch, baby. Mighty Cleave, see ya. Victory Bell's faster, we're cooked. We actually don't win against this. Okay, what do we do now? Victory Bell's faster than us. And it has sun-boosted solar beams. We actually can't do anything against that. Sun-boosted solar beams? What am I, stupid? That just registered in my own tired brain. Sun-boosted solar beams? That's a new one. Chat, W sun-boosted solar beams for real. I guess we pick a different move because it's like a different sequencing and we just Prage for... Oh, this is Chlorophyll probably. That's probably why it outspeeds us. Okay. We don't get Focus Band proc. I think we just actually can't win against this. Yeah, because it's always faster and it always just shreds us with Solar Beam. I think we actually have to take a loss here. Just straight up. Yeah, that's not going to happen. It's just going to drain us again and then we die. Well, there's no way we can set up extra speed, so I think we actually just have to take a match loss. That's unfortunate. Well, I'm gonna redeem my egg pulls and then we'll call it a night there, because I just don't think there's anything that we can do against Erica. I'll investigate that off stream, but I don't think there's a single way that we can sequence that where we don't just die to Victory Bell. So that's unfortunate, but oh well. Oh well, that's how, that's how it goes sometimes. So we got like 30 minutes of actual gaming in Poggers. I don't even think it was that long. Oh well. All right. Chat. I really appreciate everybody sticking by for this stream. I know it was a short stream, but it was also a super late stream, and I was kind of tired, so that's my bad. Appreciate everybody sticking by for this long and for kind of a topic that probably not everybody was interested in, but that's how she goes sometimes. Yeah, see you guys tomorrow for another stream. It'll just be random games again. We'll do PokeRogue probably. Blade and Sorcery might be tomorrow because we haven't done that in a long time. I know I said that about today, but overarching Magic the Gathering videos came out, so my hand was forced. My bad. But yeah, I really appreciate everybody being here per usual. Follow my socials down below for more content. There will be a ton of stuff in the coming days, short form wise. And yeah, appreciate y'all. Have a good one. Sleep well. It's very late. Y'all should be in bed right now, as should I. Love y'all. Peace out. See you tomorrow.